Well, if you're homesteaders like us or you just split a lot of wood, you've probably seen a lot of advertisements for these kindling splitters. Well, the question is, do they work or are they just gimmicks? We're going to find out today. The Speedforce company gave us the opportunity to review some of their wood and kindling splitters, and we jumped at the opportunity. Because for the last decade, we've lived in homes that are heated primarily with wood. In fact, this off-grid home is exclusively with wood. So we split and use a lot of wood here on the homestead, and we do it all with an axe. Now, our children help out quite a bit, so anything that can be safer and easier than wielding an axe, we were excited about. So let's take a look at these. Well, we're going to go ahead and open up these packages and see what's inside. Let's start first. This one, cast steel. It's got a manual inside, and it's got a warranty card and a thank you valued customer for your purchase. Very nice. Pretty simple, pretty basic. Has a splitting surface. It's got 4 holes in the base so you can secure it to a log. Now this one here is really heavy, so again, directions, extra bushings, and looks like a router bit here. And then we have the actual mechanism. Looks like some assembly required, so we'll get into the instructions there and we'll look about how to assemble that one. And of course, the simplest of all, here's the Speedforce. It comes with some mounting screws at the base of this. It also has 4 holes, so you can secure it to a log. And it's got a nice little safety cap because that's pretty sharp there, something I don't want to fall on. So you probably want to keep that on. And instructions. So let's get to it. First, we have to mount these either on a stump or a log. So I've gone ahead and cut logs to size. And particularly this one, it has a long draw. And so I wanted it to be lower. It's about 12 inches. So let's put this together. It seems pretty simple, and I'm just following the directions that were included. Okay, pretty simple to put this together. There's a bushing down there. The bore hole says 75 millimeters, which is about 3 inches deep into the wood. And then there's a bushing, and then this is the splitter, and then this is your hand-operated sledge. And there's also a set screw on the side of each one of these. Now I've loosened up the set screws so they run freely. The other 2 splitters were simply 4 screws directly to the stump. The manual says this will handle up to 500 millimeter logs, which is about 20 inches. So I'm going to start with a 13-inch log. This is about 8-inch diameter. Might be a little big for this because it says it has about 10 tons of splitting force, which is usually about up to 6 inches, but we'll see how it does. Nothing. Okay, this log is about 13 inches long and about 6 inches in diameter. Let's see how it does. Pretty easy work. Obviously the first split was a little difficult, but after that it did just fine. So the distance across here is about 6.5 inches. So it takes about the same size log as that one. This log is just under 6 inches. And it's white oak. We'll see. It says to go ahead and get it set on there first so it stays in place. This one is obviously for smaller kindling. it doesn't have the ring to hold it in place, so I've got to hold it with one hand and keep it on there until it sticks. So this is a 4.5 inch log. We'll see how it does. We found on this one, unless you can get the log to stick on there, it's really not effective to hold it and try to hammer. You can't get a good strike on the log. This may be difficult. This is a piece of slab from my lumber mill, and that's tulip, goes right through, no problem there. This is a piece of white oak that was already split on the other ones. Seems to split fine. This is a piece of red oak from the lumber mill again. So this is really nice for getting the smaller kindling out of the already split logs. Easy peasy. A lot of advertisements always use a big burly lumberjack looking guy. Well, clearly I'm not that, but I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to bring in my 12-year-old daughter, probably our weakest splitter, and see how she does. Now these three have been out here for about 3 weeks now in the weather, and they're fine to leave out in the weather, and it says that. And as you can see, there's just a little bit of rust on here and the edge of that. This one actually stays pretty rust free because it's got that cap on it, kind of nice. You could obviously put a 5-gallon bucket over that or something if you wanted to, but it doesn't seem any worse for the wear. So first of all, I want to look at a couple things, and let's start with safety. As far as safety, yes, they're actually very, very safe. And I want to point out that in the old days, I used to, try to stand these things up. They don't stand up, so yes, and I know it's wrong, but sometimes I would hold it and hatchet it. And that's very, very dangerous, and you can really hit your hand. The great thing about especially these two is once you put this up there, it holds it in place, okay? So I don't have to have my hand down there or anything, and I can split away. And you can see some of these smaller ones, they're not gonna stand up anyway, so you really can't split them with an axe. This is great for kindling. This one also does the same thing because it holds it right there. I'm sure you're gonna have to keep that sharp to do that, but don't have to have my hands anywhere near. This one's a little bit different, but again, if it does stick, you could do it that way. If not, you're swinging down with a mallet instead of a blade. Okay, so if the mallet misses or bounces off and hits your arm, it may hurt, but it's not going to be dangerous. Let's review each one of these individually, and at the end, I'll tell you which one I like the best, if there is one. First of all, this one is great because it holds the log in place. The other great thing about this, it's probably better for the kids because running this up and down and slamming it down seems to be easier for them than holding the 4 or 6 pound mallet and swinging that. So this is definitely a plus for kids. Now we go to this one, and I like this one too because it'll hold it in place. It also contains the log. So when you split it, it doesn't fall off to the sides. It stays inside. You can pull that piece up, split it, pull another piece up. I like the containment of this. One of the disadvantages of this one is you can see it's limited by a 6.5-inch opening. And when I do the slabs from the lumber mill, I can't fit them in here. So that's one limitation we have with this one. Now going on to the end, I really like this one for slabs on the lumber mill because they split really easily, but there's no containment whatsoever. I can take a piece that's 18 inches wide and I can knock it into little bits of kindling. So this has a lot of advantage for things like that. Well, Danielle told me to pick my favorite and talk about it, and I really can't do that because of the vast amount of wood that we split and how we use these. These all three will come in handy for me. But if you buy from a lumber mill or you know somebody with a lumber mill and you get slabs, I would recommend this one or this one because you're not limited by the width. If you have small children or perhaps somebody who's weaker and can't yield an axe or a mallet, this one is definitely your choice. If you just want to have something around a campfire and you want to leave it out there and just be able to take bigger things to smaller things, then I think this one would be ideal. Now, the fact that none of these can really cut through logs more than 4 to 6 inches is no big deal at all. They're really not designed for that. They're designed for kindling. And quite honestly, for kindling, I think it's safer and easier, much faster than an axe. So I'm absolutely delighted that I get to keep all three. Well, thanks for watching. As you can see, most advertisements actually use softwoods, real easily splittable woods, and all we have here are hardwoods. So it was great to see these operate under those conditions. Please subscribe if you haven't done so, and also I'd like you to leave a comment and let us know how you could use this at your place or your homestead. We'll see you next week.